in the top left.
Gotcha up here.
Yeah, great. So we are now recording, and take it away, Janet.
Thank you. Alex, we are expecting Alex, right?
Yes.
Alex Weinhagen. We'll give him another minute. Thank you, Brooke, for manning the tech. And thank you, Maddie, for instructing.
You're welcome.
Anybody heard from Alex today?
I haven't, but I'll ping him, Janet.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Well, let's get started without Alex Weinhagen. We do have an Alex, though. Alex Pastor.
Hi, I'm of
Hi,
course
Alex.
substitute for Alex W. though.
Nope. So I'm Janet Hurley, Chair of the Land Use Review Board. This is August 25th, 2025, and a meeting of the Land Use Review Board. We do have a quorum of 3 members right now and are expecting one more, although one is away this week. So I will ask each that is present to introduce themselves. Sarah
Sarah Hyde, board member present.
and Brooke.
Brooke Dingledine, board member present.
We are expecting Alex Weinhagen to join us. Do we have any agenda updates in the meantime from board members? Nope. Okay. And I don't think we have any public, just staffers and 3 board members. So no public comments at this time. We have consent agenda for the minutes of the August 11th and August 18th meetings. Sarah?
I would like to make a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Brooke. Any discussion on those? I don't have anything on them. There were a few funky little things, but I don't think they're worth spending a lot of time fixing. So I think that they are adequate in terms of expressing how the meetings went. No Alex yet. Hopefully he agrees, because I'm about to call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous from the 3 board members present, constituting a quorum, so they are approved. Pete, any word back from Alex?
No word back from Alex.
Okay. So for operations, budget, legislative updates, I'll just say that the board is following the discussion about return to office plans from the administration. We are not privy to any particular information that hasn't been made publicly available yet. And the board intends to engage the staff on this and to participate in any planning, any reach out that the administration has for us. And I think we'll talk about it at staff meeting on Wednesday as well this week. So Rachel's not here, but she and Sarah and I will be meeting later this week to see whether, or to work on a fiscal 27 year budget. And we are hoping to get that before the board in early in September for an approval before submitting or mid-September, before submitting to the administration, the Agency of Administration, by the end of September. Pete, do you have anything?
I was out for the last 2 weeks, so not much here, but I'll just mention that this week will be continuing with the hiring process for one of the district coordinator positions. It all seems to be going pretty smoothly. Just another plea for any kind of legislative changes or topic areas that board members have. Let me know about those. We'll start focusing some energies in that direction in the fairly near term.
Great, thanks. Jenny reminds me that Alex Weinhagen was planning on not attending today's meeting. So we are who we are today. Sarah?
However, he did express verbally that he had a change in plans and he would try and make the meeting. So recognizing that hopefully we'll see him.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah. And
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Jenny was reminding me that he had another change in plans, and so he isn't coming after all, even though his change in plans initially allowed that he would be here. I don't know. He's not
To be
here,
less
so.
mysterious, this was based
Yeah.
on the agenda setting meeting that we had on Wednesday. So Sarah's probably more up to date than I am.
Yeah, he did send a meeting. I mean, he sent an email saying he was canceling his camping because of rain this week. So, all right. Studies and reports. I will note that some last minute revisions or corrections were made to the regional plan application guidelines. I had forgotten to change the internal section references to reflect the new section numbering system. So that is now up on our website, corrected. And then there were 2 minor revisions to the comment form. So that's also been updated and uploaded to the website. So that information is ready to be out there. I am purveying it to RPCs this week who on an individual basis as I follow up on asking for estimates for Tier 1A areas from those RPCs. Sarah's also doing that. We were hoping to have estimates of all the Tier 1A areas so that Rachel could make some educated guesses about what kind of special fund revenue we might be losing in fiscal year 27 due to Tier 1A exemptions, Tier 1A and Tier 1B exemptions. So we are collecting that information. Sarah, do you want to talk about Tier 1B, Tier 1A?
sure. Just I think we're still on track to have draft guidelines hopefully within the next couple of weeks now that we have sort of the gangs all here and back to review. So making some more work on that, progress on that this week. Also have appointments to catch up with other staff about creating guidance for the administration of Tier 1A. Hopefully we'll get that started over the next week or so. The idea is that we'll be presenting at both the VLCT Planning and Zoning Forum and ANR's Municipal Day, and hope to have something for initial feedback for outward facing ahead of that. Just to briefly touch on Tier 2, I believe that we provided the information for the drafting of the formal request for the extension to September 30th. And road rule, Kirsten and I will be following up with Pete to hopefully do some next steps in terms of being with coordinators around input on that. So I think that's all the different areas. So I'll hand over
That
to
you're
Brooke.
involved in. Okay. Brooke, appeals. update?
I've been working on trying to use our original environmental board rules because they're a wonderful starting point. And trying to formulate taking of Act 250 appeals as a board, and had a really good meeting with Jenny trying to figure out the notion of taking on either housing, in the zoning arena, or tier one cases for appeals. And as Alex isn't here, it is something that I do want to discuss further with the board, because subsequent to Jenny and my conversation, where I was kind of throwing out, we want the larger projects, of course, to try to alleviate the housing situation, not necessarily these single family homes or smaller subdivisions. And so Sarah, I want to actually just give the mic to Sarah, because she and I were kind of discussing that might be more difficult. We would have to, define what is housing or whatever, as opposed to, and Janet, you've mentioned it as well, the notion of taking on the tier one appeals, so that has the escape valve, and we can help alleviate those new projects that we're trying to figure out how many of them will there be, in terms of, it's sort of the opposite of figuring out the loss of revenue for Act 250, as opposed to then in terms of capacity, then how many zoning cases will be processed with the increase that's expected in that tier. So it's sort of a puzzle at this point, trying to figure out, is that a way to target and to assist with being the appellate body to help specifically with housing. So if you guys have thoughts you want to share, or, maybe
Yeah.
it's a conversation we really need Alex and Kirsten more involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it makes sense to continue this conversation when we have a full set at our next meeting, I think. Is that right? Or is it the one after?
I think we
Next
do.
week. On the 4th, right? September 4th?
Yeah, Kirsten's back because she's doing the chat. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think it's September 4th, and because Monday's a holiday, so. But all that said, I think that, I think calling it, or taking tier 1A and tier 1Bs would make that an easier, in terms of rules about which appeals we take. And it made sense to me initially when I talked to Brooke about it, because we as a board have already reviewed those areas and looked at that zoning. So yeah, it makes sense. And those, those are the areas where, the housing targets, at least, that's where they're supposed to be accommodated. So, I think it makes a lot of sense. Sarah, do you have thoughts to add?
I was just nodding my head in agreement. I do agree that this is a good conversation when we have a fuller board. But I think the question that I was posed was what the number was in terms of number of housing units. And I said, I don't think that there is a number. I think that we should be focusing on the tier 1As and Bs as a way of further sort of standing up and incentivizing that program. And that's going to be an area that we are going to be rigorously reviewing those regulations. So it sort of gives a easier, more streamlined effect. I think I did sort of come back to the fundamental question: should we be taking any appeals and bifurcating these from the environmental report, where you still have maybe appeal the same project, but different appellate bodies, depending upon if it's a municipal or a state, and concerns about how to resolve that. But I think that having a incentive for tier 1As and Bs, and possibly priority housing projects, saves you from having to dip into a number. And I think the question that was posed to me was, by Brooke too, was with a number, it would also depend upon 1 versus 10-acre towns. And I think it offers too many different configurations, and people will size projects accordingly to avoid or to get into a specific arena. So I think if we are looking to take on appeals for Act 250, I think it does also make sense to include tier 1A, 1Bs, and maybe priority housing projects.
Okay, thanks. Brooke, anything else on appeals today?
No, I do want to just mention, because we have been talking about this in the environmental board rules, the original board was able to appoint either hearing panels or a hearing officer for to prioritize and figure out in terms of complexity, the tribunal that would be hearing the appeal. And that, I think, is an important element to retain or to re-adopt, because it really gives the board flexibility in terms of the future. I mean, we're speculating to some degree, but to be able to be more nimble and be able to use our resources in a way that focuses them and prioritizes the cases in a way where they have a proper tribunal, but with lesser issues that are more simple versus the more complex. Maybe the full board doesn't need to sit on all the cases. So I've asked Jenny, I'm going to try to steal a little bit more of her time over the next month to try to work on how we would determine the complexity of a case. We do have the charts from the environmental division, but how that's really implemented, I think, is important for us to understand so that we are set up and prepared to be able to logistically operate in that manner, figure out how is it, what are the cases, and then how does it actually work in terms of the entity and then the review beyond that to the Supreme Court.
Great, thanks.
So lots of details to work on, but I think that we are moving towards some common ground that I think is trying to address all of the concerns that we have about switching to a board versus the formality of the court. So we're
Great,
doing
thank
pretty
you,
well.
Brooke. All right. So moving right along, we have discussion of appeals and enforcement matters. Do I have a motion? Brooke is nodding. She's looking at her cheat sheet.
Trying to find the right mouse. All righty. The board needs to discuss pending and probable Act 250 appeals and enforcement actions, and to have confidential attorney-client communications on these matters. Therefore, I move that we find that premature public knowledge of these matters would place the board at a substantial disadvantage, and the board should enter executive session.
Thank you, Brooke. Sarah?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? Seeing none. Actually, before we go into executive session, before we take this vote, Annette, I noticed you have joined us, and I want to ask if you have any public comments on non-agenda items before we go into executive session. Okey doke. Let's vote on the executive session. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Sarah, I didn't hear your aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That's unanimous. So we will enter executive session and we will come back out and report anything, any decisions made. And I will also ask give one last opportunity for public comment before we adjourn. So see you on the other side. Bye-bye. Annette, are you with us still? Annette Smith? Sarah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Just trying to get Annette's attention. See if she has any comments for us today.
Sorry, I had to turn on my sound. Yes, I'm here.
Do you have any comments for us today, Annette?
I don't,
Okay.
as I'm part of these various stakeholder groups, I'm
Yeah.
interested in their discussions, but I don't feel like I need to take up your time at this time.
Okay, thanks.
Or I will say that I really appreciate the conversations that you're having. I think
Oh,
you are
great.
doing important work, and it is helping to advance the discussions about our regulatory process in a way that I think has been missing for a long time. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, we are back from executive session, and that was a comment, Annette. Thank you. A welcome one. Sarah, I believe you have a motion or two to make.
So I would like to make a motion that we enter an appearance with regard to matter 25-ENV-066.
Okay,
Second,
thank you. Any discussion on this one? Okay, all those in favor of entering an appearance in this matter, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
aye.
Thank you. That passes with 3 votes. And I believe you have one more motion, Sarah?
I would like to make a motion to authorize enforcement to transmit a notice of alleged violation with regard to docket number 2025-063 for failure to resolve an incomplete land use permit application and for continued operation of commercial ventures without first obtaining final commission approval.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second. Second,
And just
And
to
that was an
clarify, I think that was enforcement case
Yeah.
as opposed to docket.
I was just gonna say that it was an enforcement case 2025-063. Okay, any further discussion on that one? Oh, Brooke?
I was just gonna second the correction.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. We will be issuing a notice of alleged violation. And Sarah?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, thank you.
Second,
Thank you, Brooke. Any discussion on our motion to adjourn? Great. So in record time, the Land Use Review Board is adjourning its meeting merely an hour after starting. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Annette, for your kind words, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
we have to vote to adjourn.
Oh, we'll stop the recording. So,
Okay, how do I do that? That's
more, yep. And then hover and then stop. And then you can, next